Hello and welcome back to my knitting podcast. Don't remember what episode this is. Didn't look it up. I am Katie. I am a Boston-based yarn dyer and knitter. I run the company Claws Out Yarn Company, and I'm really glad to have you here. If you're new, I chat about yarn updates. I talk a lot about social justice nonsense. You can check out my last video for an anti-fascist rant that went on for longer than I expected it to. And yeah, I love talking about color and project ideas, and that's what's going on. So welcome. As you can see, I'm wearing one of my most recent finished objects because I have nothing finished to tell you about. I started a lot of projects recently that I will also tell you about, and I haven't finished anything. So welcome to my world. But yeah, let's get into it. I'm going to talk about some works in progress I have, some yarn that I've purchased. I want to show you something very exciting that's happening in my business world, which is really great. And then I'm going to answer a couple of questions from my followers over on Instagram, so you can follow me at Claws Out Yarn Co. And yeah, let's dive into it. Very quickly, I want to name that I am wearing my Midland cardigan, which is by Laura Penrose, which I talked about, I think, 2 videos ago. I finished it in April, just in time for Easter. It's this perfect, Eastery, whatever. No, it hasn't been blocked yet. Don't worry about it. In my last video, I think I was talking about knitting journals and asking you how I should organize mine, what format do you think works the best? And so I came up with something. Well, first of all, I was like, ooh, I ordered these new journals. I did order those and they came. They're from the company Appointed. Appointed, if you're out there, I love you. I love your journal so much. Please sponsor me. But then, I think the day after I filmed that video, or the day after I posted it, I actually went up to Cambridge to visit Gather Here, the yarn store, which is an awesome store. It's great. If you're in the greater Boston area, you should absolutely check it out. It's got, it's not just yarn, it's also fabrics. They have classes, they have, embroidery materials, they just have everything. And so I went there, and then when I was leaving, next door, there's this really cute, stationery, gifty, cute store that I don't remember the name of. And so I got this little notebook. Usually I prefer a spiral bound, but this one is just so cute. So I'm using this as a knitting journal starting with April. So I wanted to show you how I've been, and I got some fun little gel pens. I want to show you how I've been organizing it. So this is my April page. So you can see it has finished objects, and then it has started objects, and then yarn that I've purchased, which I didn't put down all the details for this. I just put down general vibe, and then there's also a little tracker over here by number of yarn balls. In April, I was drawing little hanks of yarn. I'm not doing that for May. But, so in April, I finished the Midland cardigan and the cranberry knit dress. Those are both in, I talk about those in the video two videos ago. I started 4 projects, including 2 test knits. And I purchased 3, 4, 7, 12 skeins of yarn, most of which, well, actually some of which I talked about in my last video where I talk about the possum yarn, and I think I say the word possum 200 times. So I started the coloring book tee. I started the Grand Slam tee, which is a test for Perfectly Knotted, which is a baseball tee that I will show you when I'm done with. I'm in the middle of the body at the moment. I started a project that I'm going to talk to you about later, a sock project, and I also started a test knit that I'm going to talk to you about very soon. So another test knit. So that's exciting. And then May, here's the page for May. I purchased 4 balls of yarn, which I will tell you about shortly. Obviously haven't finished anything yet. It's only May 6th today. And I did start one more thing that I will also tell you about when we get to WIPs. And I haven't written down what the yarn I purchased is, but I have it and I'm going to. So yeah, so I've been doing like, let me show you a page. This is how I've been tracking like projects. So it's projects that I start during the month. So it has the designer, what size I'm making, what needles I'm using, both for the body and the ribbing if necessary, what yarn I'm using, when I start, when I finish, the yardage and grams of the total finished project, and any notes I have. Like for the test projects that I'm doing, I am keeping track of more details about, like, one test I'm doing has bust darts in it, so I'm tracking like the math I do for those. The other test that I'm doing has a lot of color work in it. I'm using 4 different colors. I created a little chart to keep track of the yardage and grams for each color individually. So that's been fun. I'm going to talk about my yarn purchases really quick because I don't have that many of them, and I also don't have plans yet with any of them because that's just how I am. But let's see. Okay, so a couple weeks ago, I went on my bachelorette trip. You know, no big deal. I'm getting married in 6.5 weeks. I went on my bachelorette trip and we went to Portland, Maine, which is like one of my favorite places. I love Portland so much, and I've been spending a lot of time there. The weekend that we went to my bachelorette party, it was local yarn store day. So I got not only a free tote bag from Knitwit yarn shop in Portland, shout out, but I got a bunch of Maine themed yarn that eventually will become socks or potentially mittens, gloves. Because they have this dyer who I really, really like. I've seen this stuff up there before. This is an exclusive. There's a whole color range of Maine themed yarn that is all exclusive for Knitwit Yarn Shop. So this yarn dyer does it specifically for the store. I got three skeins of the same base in different colors, and the dyer is Snallygaster fiber. Love that. And it's on the base Bug Light, which is a 75% superwash merino, 25% nylon. Sock weight, it's 460 yards per skein, which is like pretty high. My own similar base that's a sock yarn is 394. So this is more than that, so I can make some tall socks or some interesting mittens. Anyway, so this one is Mount Katahdin, which, oh my god, it's just so beautiful. If you don't know, Mount Katahdin is the mountain in Maine. It's the northern end of the Appalachian Trail. It's beautiful. It's a big, beautiful, gorgeous mountain. So this is that color, which I'm hoping has some sort of little stripingness to it. So that's one. This is Mount Katahdin. Then I got, this one is Acadia, which is the national park up in Maine. My partner Nate and I have been there once, and it's like just one of the most beautiful places. I don't know if you can really tell with the camera, but it's like, it's very green at this end. Green and blue. Acadia it's New England's only national park, like capital N, capital P national park. And it is one of the first places, I think it might be the first place in the continental US that gets the sunrise in the morning because of how far east it is. It's on Mount Desert Island up in Maine. And then this one is Maine tourmaline, which is a crystal that is found quite predominantly in Maine. I used to have some growing up when I was little that I think I got in Damariscotta, Maine. So big fan of Maine over here. I'm getting married up there. Like, couldn't say enough. Hopefully I'll live there someday. So these are my 3 Snallygaster fibers exclusively for Knitwit Yarn Shop. These 3 skeins. So this was a really exciting purchase on my bachelorette weekend, and it was really fun to bring my entire bachelorette party. There were I think there were 7 of us at the time, to bring all of these women into the yarn store because it was like me and one other friend on the trip that are knitters or crafters, and then 2 people that like sort of can crochet a little bit but don't really, and then 2 people that were like, this is pretty, like, I don't know. It was just very entertaining to be like, step into my world. This is what I like. So I really love these. Hopefully these will become socks someday, but I think this is a good example of like how I collect yarn sometimes. It's a souvenir. Like these 3 skeins, I will always be like, oh, I got those on my bachelorette weekend. Oh, I got those in Portland on my bachelorette weekend, and it's just really nice. Then that's one main yarn store, but then when we were up in that area again this past weekend, not for my bachelorette, just the 2 of us, we were in Gorham, Maine, and they have a yarn store that has opened up, I think it opened up last year in 2025 sometime. It's called Old School Fiber and Craft. And we popped in there after running some wedding related errands, and then we went back home. I got 4 skeins of yarn from them, from Old School Fiber and Craft. So first I got this, another sock skein. This is from On the Round, which is also a Maine-based yarn dyer. I believe they're based out of Thomaston. Yeah. This is the color Seafoam on their Nimble sock base. Nate picked this out for some socks. I want to make these really cute ruffly socks that hopefully I can find quickly. Yes. I want to make these the Floris socks. I don't know if you can really tell, but they're like a lacy, just a lacy like shorty sock with a little ruffle at the top. Never made ruffly socks before, so that is very appealing to me. So I think these would look really cute. I showed Nate the pattern. It was like, which ones do you think? And he picked this color. And then kind of going in the blue-green theme, I got 1 skein of this, of the Kelbourne Woolens Keystone yarn in this stunning, like bright greenish blue color. 70% dead stock acrylic and 30% North American wool. This is only 190 yards. This is like a worsted weight. But I think this would make a really, really fun hat. Just a really fun bright blue hat. It's super soft. What is the color name for this one? It's color 440 bright blue, if you can imagine. So Kelbourne Woolens is a great American yarn brand. Big fan. And then the other skeins I got 2 that are also Kelbourne Woolens. It's their Scout base, which is 100% wool. And these are 274 yards per 100 grams each of them. So that's more of like a DK. And this is the color 320 Lichen Heather. And I was thinking that these would be really nice to, it's like a kind of a heathery, it's got some like more golden brownish bits in it. And I think that I am going to make just a nice cowl out of this. I've got two DK skeins. I think that would be a really cozy cowl or maybe a hood or something for the fall. So there's all my blue-green yarn from there. So those are my main wedding related errand weekend yarn purchases. Yeah, super excited to eventually do something with these, but because they're kind of more like souvenir yarn, I don't feel the need to cast anything on like right away, which is good because I have a lot of projects and I'm about to tell you about 3 of them. Okay, we are going to get into whips, but also I'm going to take this sweater off because I am hot now. I'm going to start with the socks that I was just talking about because I feel like if I talk to you about them, maybe I'll be motivated to finish them. So I started these in April, on April 17th, and I actually made really good progress. I did all of this on the first sock in 1 weekend. So I think I'm mostly at a point where I just need to try this on and see how close I am to get the foot being done, but I think I'm getting there. So this is actually some of the yarn that I bought at Gather Here, like I was just talking about when I was there. It's this really lovely tweedy yarn. The yarn itself, here's the cake, is from American U Yarn Company, and it is The colorway is Adela's Olive. It's obviously this really beautiful olive green. And I am making the Grandpa Socks by Alicia Plummer in this. So these socks are supposed to be like tall and squishy. Usually when I do a sock, like an ankle, no, like a calf length sock, I'll do maybe 40 rounds of the leg. I think on this one I did 60. So it's definitely like longer and squishier. It's got this really yummy texture, kind of like almost like a broken rib kind of situation all the way down. The heel also has the like ribbing going down it, which is fun. And then it's just a pretty traditional gusset heel turn, heel flap situation, which is my preferred way to do heels. I've done like shadow wrap heels, I've done short row heels, and that's fine, but there's something about the heel turn that I really like. So yeah, I mean, hopefully I finish this first one and then I will finish the second one. You know, at some point. I'm not really the best at finishing socks. You should see how many socks I have around here. I would say the only modification I made for these is that I'm doing the whole thing on size 1 needles, whereas it's recommended to do size 1 for the cuff and then size 2 for the rest of the thing, and then I think size 1 for the toes again. Go Katie, you can finish a pair of socks. Thanks guys. I'm gonna do this one first because it's the newest one and I have less, I don't have as much yapping to do about it. So I started this literally like 2 days ago. Here she is. It doesn't look like much at the moment, but this is going to be the Cosmopolitan tee by Tori Yu. It's a fingering weight tee, and I decided to cast it on because I've had this yarn for a little while, maybe like a year or so. So I wanted to start using the yarn, and I also just realized that I haven't made like a good fingering weight, you know, like a light and flowy summer tee project that I really like. That's kind of been like an Achilles heel for me as a knitter, as I haven't finished any summer weight tees that I really enjoy. So I decided to do this one. The color I'm using, this is Bluebird Day by Explorer Knits and Fibers on the Denali sock base, which I've used for some other things. I have a pair of socks in it somewhere. Big fan. So this tee has an interesting construction, which is also why I wanted to start it, because I've never, trying not to lose stitches, because I've never made a tee with this construction before. So it is, you work the back trapezoid with some increases, then you pick up for the front 2 sides separately from the back cast on edge. This is the back, and then picked up the front. But then what you do, which I think is really interesting, because I was like, wow, that's really shallow, but now it like wants me to join in the round. So what you actually do is you pick up like you put everything back together, but then you actually pick up for the sleeves from the edges of your like front panels, like over here. And then you start working the sleeves continuously set in with the rest of the tee as you do the increases. So right now I'm almost done with the first little section of doing sleeve increases, which is also, there's a lace chart on the sleeves, so it'll obviously look better blocked, but like there's some lace happening on the sleeves, which is really cool. So I think after this then I'll be doing like body and sleeve increases, but right now I've just been doing sleeve increases, so it's like a set in cap sleeve basically. And that's really cool, and I've never done that before. So I'm very excited about this. Obviously I've made pretty good progress on it. I think I literally started it, today's Wednesday, I started it on Monday. And I made all this progress, including that I had to completely unwind my really tangled cake yesterday and roll it into this ball because it was giving me a lot of grief. Because of course, why not? Ha ha ha. So that took probably like legitimately an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours to do while I was working. So, and this yarn, I bought it, this is from Explore Knits did like a, I think it was upstate New York, or just like a New York collection. And I don't live in New York, but I really like these colors. So I actually ordered 250 grams of this. So I got 2 100-gram skeins and 1 50-gram skein because I needed about 1,000 yards for what I originally intended to make with this project, which was a different tee by a designer that I'm not supporting anymore. And luckily, this tee, the Cosmopolitan tee, also needs about 1,000 yards for my size. So, so it's great. So I have like 2 full-size skeins and then 1 like little skinny mini skein, which is great. And I think I'm probably, based on the size of this ball, I'd say I've used 50 to 60 grams of the first ball. So, yeah, I'm excited. I really like this. The color is really beautiful. It's like a periwinkle blue purple. And I think I'm manifesting that this is going to be the tee that I really like and that I really wear all the time. I think I'm gonna try to start doing weekly YouTube videos. By saying that out loud, am I making a mistake? Maybe. I also have a couple of projects that I have to be working on for my wedding that I've not made a lot of progress on. So if you could please yell at me in the comments to stop working on these things and work on the wedding things, that'd be great. I'm making a shawl for my mom. I'm making Nate's tie. And I think I'm doing something else that I'm not going to say because some of my bridesmaids watch this. But the shawl and the tie are like necessary. I need to do those. So please yell at me about them. I have started the shawl. I have not started the tie. Now for the final whip that I'm working on, which kind of consumed my every waking moment at the end of April. It's really kind of crazy. Okay, so you have maybe seen this sample that was posted for Explorer Knits new Buttercrumb collection, which is so beautiful. I ordered some of that, don't worry about it. So this beautiful sweater, I was like, wow, that's so pretty. And then I was like, oh, there's a test call from Megan Monroe, who designs a lot of sweaters that end up being used as EKF samples, which is like, they work together. That's so cool. Good for them. So I am testing that sweater and I'm using all my own yarn. So it's effectively going to be a sample for Claws Out Yarn Co. yarn. Hello. 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 I really love her. Okay. So it's a raglan. As you can see, it's 1x1 color work. You're only ever using 2 colors at a time, but the main color and then the contrast color like alternate at the same rate, but it's staggered. I really love her. I love the colors I'm using. This is going to be so cozy and delicious. So the colors that I am using, they're all from my past collections. The red is by the pound from my main collection. I'll just go by main color. This gold color is Forever from my Noah Kahan Northern Attitude collection. The green blue is Friends of the Public Garden from the Yarns of the Commonwealth collection. And then finally down here we have Super Trooper, which is from my most recent Mamma Mia, the Dancing Queen collection. So I did 3 tonal colors and 1 variegated color because the Super Trooper just kind of, the Super Trooper colorway has some red in it, it has some gold in it, it has some of this blue in it, so I think it's the perfect complement. So as you can see, I am past the sleeve split. I am, maybe 5-6 inches into the body, so I haven't actually tried it on yet, and I have to. I used a size 5 needle for the ribbing, and then a size 7 to get gauge for the rest of the body, which that works out for me because I chose a size that is like right in between the sizes that or like the amount of ease that I would want. So actually doing it on size 7 means that it's just going to be a little bit like cozier, baggier, which is great. I'm super excited about it. And then the hems and cuffs and stuff will also be worked in the main color, which is by the pound. So this is just like, it's been an absolute delight to work on. This is all on my Kitten DK base. This is a DK weight sweater, although the designer said, I think that someone asked in the test group, and I think she said that like a sport weight would also work if you get gauge. Highly, like, this is so much fun. It's so much fun, and blocking it is going to be an absolute delight because for the most part I think my tension is pretty good, but there's like a little bit of bunching around some of the raglan bits. Now that I'm working through the body, there's less of that. Ooh, and I want to show you my floats really quick. Hello. Look at those floats. I'm so proud of this for me. They're so pretty. I imagine that I am going to be wearing it a lot in the fall. I also picked kind of fall colors. Some other people in the test group are doing like really bright, exciting colors. Some people are doing like the exact colors that are in the Explorer Knit sample. Some people are doing like really cool, moody, like neutrals. So there's going to be a lot of color excitement for you. The way that I picked my colors, I kind of picked, well, because they're my own yarn, like if I needed more, I could always dye more. But I picked, out of the colors that I had chosen, which I'd already picked them, I just chose which one I wanted to be around my face, which was the red. And then I created the rest of the color, like order in that way. So those are all my current active whips, but again, please yell at me. Please yell at me about the wedding stuff, because the wedding, as I said, is in 6.5 weeks. Now I'm going to tell you about something that's very exciting that I don't think I've mentioned in my most recent videos. Okay, so my most exciting news, super exciting, is that I now have a studio space. I can't remember if I mentioned this, but I have moved Claws Out Yarn dyeing into my studio space, which is also in my neighborhood in Boston. I can walk there from our apartment. It's amazing. It's so nice. So I'm renting this space, and so far I've been doing a bunch of dyeing in it. I'm working on a wholesale order for another local yarn store. I've dyed up some of your orders in it, and it's been really exciting. The hope is that as I get more used to doing my dyeing in this space, because obviously I've just been dyeing everything out of our kitchen here forever, and then my kitchen at my old apartment before that. So having like a dedicated space for the dyeing is amazing, but it is an adjustment to being like, where should I put things? How does this work? So as I am doing that, I'm hopeful, very hopeful, that I will be able to potentially like host small groups in there, maybe for just like craft nights, or I hope that I can be part of the local open studios that's every fall. Would be really exciting. I think that would be an absolute blast. So yeah, it's really great. It's in a building owned by someone that really respects and appreciates the arts, which is so great. And yeah, the space is all mine. It's got a sink, obviously, for water, because that's like the biggest thing that I need. And I'm really excited about it. So yeah, I'm really thrilled for myself. The space is definitely filling all of my needs. I just built a new shelf in there for storing all of my bare yarn. I have figured out how like my drying rack setup is going, and yeah, so the next step is to make it really into like a cozy comfy place where I can hang out and knit and like answer emails and do social media stuff, and where hopefully people can come and join me and we can just like hang out and chit chat. So I'm really proud of myself for getting to this point, especially now that I'm taking Claws Out full time. It's really good to have a space where I am like going to work. It's like, oh, let me go put in a few hours. I have to go work at my studio. And that's really, really great. So thank you to anyone who's ever bought my yarn. Feel free to go buy more. And thank you. A very quick little shop update that I have is that all of the Mamma Mia yarn, the in-stock inventory is updated after that collection and pre-order and everything. So the quantities in my shop for the Dancing Queen collection are up to date, and everything's in stock, so it should ship out pretty fast if you want to go and buy some if you missed that collection. If you didn't know about that collection and now you're hearing about it for the first time, welcome. Yeah, it's some fun summery colors, lots of blues and greens and like beachy vibes, so get after it if you want some of that. That is all in my shop, clawsoutYarn.com. Now I'm just going to answer a couple of questions that I've gotten from my followers on Instagram. Again, that is clawsoutYarnCo, at clawsoutYarnCo. Someone asks, is all dyeing in the studio now? Yes, I have no more dyeing supplies here in our apartment, which feels amazing. We got a lot of space in our kitchen back. All my dyeing is happening at the studio. I'm still kind of bringing yarn back here to our apartment to label it and mail it out, but eventually as the process smooths out, I will be doing all of that also in the studio, so that'll be nice. Someone else asks, how has the transition from your 9 to 5 into being a full-time yarn dyer been so far? So before I was dyeing full-time, I was also working a 9 to 5 in the nonprofit development space in Boston, which is great. I love that kind of work, but I got burned out, so here I am. And it's been interesting, for sure. I think it's been really, really nice to be able to wake up whenever I want. I don't like having to get up to an alarm. That's an understatement. I really hate waking up to an alarm. But I've actually been like sleeping the best I've ever slept. There's less information to hold in my brain now, because when you're a nonprofit development professional, it's like there's 87 things that you're responsible for at all times, and now I'd say that number is maybe 15. There's a few things all the time, and obviously like wedding stuff has been a little stressful because that's kind of coinciding with this, but I'm much more well rested, which is great. And I have been finding there's so much work to do for Claws Out that I certainly have enough on my plate between trying to leverage brand partnerships, developing wholesale relationships with other local yarn stores, getting myself situated where I can apply to vend at festivals and yarn shows. I do have a couple coming up in the fall that I'll tell you about when it gets closer. That's very exciting. And then there's the entire social media component, making sure that I'm creating content, that I'm updating my mailing list, that I'm like just really there's so many different avenues of making this brand a reality, while also doing all the creative behind the scenes of actually dyeing the yarn and coming up with collections and concepts. So it is a full-time job in its own way, and it's awesome. It's really, really cool. And big truck. When I was working a separate full-time job and also trying to do the yarn, a lot of the yarn stuff would get, lost. And which makes sense just because I had to focus on my 9 to 5 as my priority. And it's really nice to have the creative stuff that I'm doing be my priority now. So overall, it's been a really good transition. The first couple weeks after I left the 9 to 5, it was a lot of sleeping. I was like, I'm not getting out of bed. But I've come out of that now, and I'm actually like waking up earlier than I would wake up when I was working at that job. So that's pretty nice. I have like a healthier sleep schedule. I have, you know, it's great. And having the studio as a place to like go to work again has been really, really helpful. Someone asked, what's something you've never knit that you'd like to? Well, like I was saying, I have never successfully knit a tee that I really like a fingering weight tee. So we're hoping that this one will be that tee. I'd say the other thing, it's not knitting, but I would really like to create, I want to start bumping up my crochet skills, which are very rudimentary. I can kind of follow a pattern, but when it comes to the counting, the counting is hard. It's just different. So I want to up my crochet skills, and I want to be able to crochet like tote bags for things, both for like project bags for myself, or for going to the beach, or for getting groceries, or for going to like a yarn festival and having something to put my purchases in. That's definitely like up there. I think that would be really, really, really cool. I want to start incorporating knitting and potentially crocheting into like decoration around our home. So if you have any ideas about how to do that, let me know. And the final question that I have for today is, how did you get into dyeing and how did you learn? I wasn't like taught by anyone. I started dyeing using food coloring and like Kool-Aid, unsweetened Kool-Aid packets. I'm not even kidding you, maybe four years ago. And then I was like, okay, this is cool. I like this. And then I was like, now I think I want to sell this because I don't need all of this yarn in my house. And then that kind of led me to buying my first acid dyes, which are what I use now. Shout out to Dharma Trading Co. I use their dyes for everything now. I mean, I probably looked up like, I think I found one crafty blog post from like 2005 about like how to, you know, that you need a citric acid or a vinegar or something to add to the water that you're putting dye in so that it actually helps the dye penetrate the yarn. I learned about how you can't use the acid dyes to dye plant-based fibers, because obviously like cotton fiber or linen or whatever is made of entirely different material, and the texture and the fibers are all, they're not receptive to the acid dyes in the way that wool is. I learned that, which is why for the moment I only dye wool of various animals, but wool-based yarn bases. Basically, I read one article that was like, you need some sort of acid, this type of dye, and you need heat. And I'm not kidding when I say that I've really just gone from there by the seat of my pants. That's basically it. Like I got into it because I wanted to play with color and I wanted to make my own yarn because I was knitting so much. And then I was like, oh, this is really cool, this is really interesting, and I think I'm good at it. And then I kept doing it and I kept getting better at it. And so now that's my job, which is really, really great. And I made a reel about this on Instagram a couple weeks ago maybe. So I am actually the 4th generation of artist in my family. My great-grandfather was a painter. His daughter, my grandmother, was a professionally trained, like classically trained, excellent painter. And then my mom is also a professionally trained professional artist who works in oils and watercolors and pen and ink. There's art in my family, basically. All that being said, my camera's about to die, so go follow me on all the things. All my links are below. Thank you for watching my video. Have a great day.